Yeah, same one.
Okay, see you in an hour. Okay, thank you. Hi. Okay, simmer down, simmer down. Psychic Frank's Mystery School. Email address psychicfrank11@gmail.com. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, so it's the 2nd of May. The 2nd of May. So for the United States of America, anybody's day and month, let's get this fade away. Yeah. Like the United States of America is, 1 second, America. Okay, so yeah, I'm Psychic Frank. I'm a psychic healer who uses astrology and numerology and the tarot cards, but I actually, they're all to enhance because I'm not the best astrologer. Well, I'm the best I need to be, but I rely on like the good ones, like, there's so many out there. I could spend all my time just going down all the great, Pam Gregory, Kathy Rose. I just found Christopher Redstrom, great people out there. Pam Gregory in the UK, she's the best. Oh yeah, I wanted to start off saying congratulations to Barbara Lee, Mayor of Oakland. I love you. I always have, and I love that you got voted in. I remember a clip of you a few weeks before the election where someone shoved a camera, a microphone in front of your face and asked you something about cannabis. I missed that part. And you came back saying, to the camera, you turned and very nonchalantly said, it should never have, you didn't say, you said, it should never have been illegal and made illegal in the first place. And I said, thank you, God bless you, Barbara Lee, I hope you get elected. And you got elected. So if you ever are in San Francisco at some kind of a function, I think this is my blue tiger's eye. Hawk's eye, falcon's eye. Yeah, it wanted to come out. Yeah, it's a ham. It's a ham. Stick a clove in it. Yeah, so if you're in a function, any of our supervisors and you're elbowing it around, and you have the ear of Mayor Lee. What's his name? No, you're Mayor Lee. Mayor. Lori, you might want to say, hey, brother, let me tell you, let me hip you to something. Cannabis is a healthy thing to do, because I think there's two things going on with our mayor regarding cannabis harm reduction. Either, he's like totally unaware, in which case I could understand that because he's in his bubble, been in that bubble. I can't. I've known people like that. I'm from the North Shore of Long Island. My family was the help. My adopted family and my grandparents were the help. But I knew how those, how bubble people live, and or he knows. Well, and also Mayor Lori, I didn't want to, as I said last time, I said I rebuke you, and I'm not even going to insult myself, lower myself to your standards, but you ran on not being a San Francisco City Hall insider. And I don't know what you call your wife played bongos at your best friend Gavin Newsom's wedding. I mean, how many people watching this now danced at Gavin Newsom's wedding? We're not insiders. Maybe you don't consider that being an insider, but we sure do. At least I do. I can only speak for to collect the Victorian Queen of the Victoria said, we're not amused. Yeah, we're not amused that you would toss that around saying that well, as I said, show me your friends and show you what you are, and you right away sided it in with Gavin Newsom. No, not what's his name? Scott Wiener. Yeah, Scott Wiener. And as I said, City Hall. it's the way. Get together with another harm reduction. Put it out there and let's get that same room and sit in the federal building. Get a non-biased opinion from some. I don't know how that could ever happen. Well, just keep in mind, realize we want to get to the cause of all this, and you're just dealing with the effects are in our face. But I don't want to waste any more of the time there. I've beaten this. I hate that metaphor, but I've beaten this dead animal to, it's gone. It's over. And as I said, it's all about now just working around you, and just hope we could get harm reduction out there. And okay, well, what's going on in astrology? Can't wait to get into the astrology. So, okay, I got that out of the way. I thanked Mayor Barbara Lee in Oakland, and it should have never been made legal in the first place. Beautiful. I have a little table here now, so I can do my little thing here when I get to the cards, which I brought them. Okay, so what's going on? Okay, Saturn opposition. We're still in the beginning of May. The feeling of explosive mood with Mars, very passionate, energetic Mars. Every 2 years it goes around the wheel for, and it's been every now and then. It's been 6 months, with a little break in the middle for retrograde periods in Leo, and where it's back now in Leo still, and I was still feeling that opposition. Is easing up, but on May 2nd, Venus and Neptune are conjoined today on the day I'm doing this, Friday the 2nd of May, and this afternoon around an hour and a half ago. So, and Neptune rules higher consciousness, a whole lot of things, but it's also escapism, movies, the whole industry of film, higher art. Neptune's the higher octave of Venus, beauty, art, art before it became all violence and people getting off on seeing violence. Shake that off, man. I just don't get it. Well, grow up, I mean, it's boring. I only watch old movies. It's really funny, they call it algorithms on the computer. I've been calling this current administration, 2025, May of 2025, what the Tibetan monks call mindless people are heartless zombies, walking corpses. And since I've been using that term on for all the left shows, I use that, heartless zombies. And then all of a sudden, all these zombie movies from the 30s are appearing on my YouTube thing, and I'm going, is this a coincidence? Oh no, this guy's into zombie movies. Well, I'm not against them. I didn't realize there were so many. Okay, so we're still beginning. So if you're into astrology, Pam Gregory, but I just want to light on what's going on right now. Okay, I wrote down all the dates, and if you have a pencil and paper handy, you might want to jot it down. Okay, 1 second, because I have it right here. Yeah, because the 900-ton gorilla in the room is the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Now, this is a very, very, rarity gives potency. Rarity gives potency. Okay, because this hasn't happened for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's that rare. Every... Saturn entered on the 20th of May this month until April 2028. Saturn will be in, 2028, Saturn will be in Aries, and Neptune will be in Aries, where it is right now, until 2039. But there'll be September, October, November when they'll be backed up into Pisces, and then come February 2026 is when they will be exactly conjunct 0 degrees Aries. That we're having the conjunction now. opposition, but it's not an exact opposition. It'll be an exact opposition. And Pam Gregory said she's been searching back. You can see like 570 something years ago when Neptune did, this revolution, that revolution. You could go way, way back, and it's almost like clockwork because events happen. Cyclic there, always hopefully higher up scale. And hopefully this is non-violent. But Pam Gregory looked right in the camera and she said, I've gone back thousands and thousands, and then she said, rarity gives potency. Experiment. Because in 2 words, what this means, everybody said, well, what does it mean, Brian? What does that mean? What it means? 2 words, write it down. Put it on your refrigerator. Pure potential. Potential. Pure potential. It's a big deal because it rents pure potential. A whole new episode for humanity. It also is going to be exactly at the midpoint of the trine between us. But wait, there's more. But it's also will be exact midpoint of the trine between Uranus and Taurus, and Uranus and Pluto rather in Aquarius. Or I believe Uranus might be in Gemini by then, because in a couple of months Uranus will be in Gemini. Actually, I wrote it down. I wrote down the exact date, so I wouldn't have to flounder around for it, which I'm floundering around for it. Okay, one magic moment here. Okay, where are we? Here we are. Ta-da! Okay. Oh yeah, I wrote Donald. Yeah, I keep this paper. I have like 3 desks in my little apartment, my little studio apartment with my parrot, and then I'm always jotting things down as they come to me. And the other day I jotted down Donald J. Trump is running too much yin, no yang. He's acting like a woman scorned. Now that sounds sexist, but you know what I mean? Nothing worse than a woman or anybody scorned. But I was watching just yesterday morning, or I think it was this morning, and I jotted it down, but it's so fresh in my mind I don't have to, I know what I wrote down, not to forget it. But I was looking at these cats sitting around the table, the whole regime sitting around the czar, or whatever he's calling himself these days. He wants to be pope, and I said, I turned and I heard my guide. I sort of put it into the no humility whatsoever. In my early recovery, right when I got out of rehab, and thank God, I had a clean slate, and I actually thought I was walking. I hadn't even started to develop psychically yet. It was William James' Varieties of Religious Experience, all that old-time sobriety at St. Pat's. And every time I see it, pass it, I remember, wow, it's got so much wisdom there. I'm still reading William James' Varieties of Religious Experiences. It was Dr. Bob who went to see Dr. Jung in Geneva, where everybody was going for psychoanalysis, if you had money or royalty. And he said, I made an appointment with him and said, I've heard you had great results with drug addicts, dope addicts, and I hate that word, dope addicts, addicted people, severely addicted to people, and alcoholics, of course. And Dr. Jung said, you heard wrong. He said, I tell them, go away. There's nothing I can do for you. You need a spiritual experience. Well, I'm sure there was more said during that experience. There's a movie called A Matter of Heart. It used to play at the Roxy before the whole sniff, the whole thing with the computer now, the computer age, which is a double-edged sword, like all ages. We're still dealing with the shadow of the Industrial Revolution. Okay, so it was instilled in me because I believe what happened in 1982 was I died. I was sucked out of my crown chakra and then came back to Earth. It was broad daylight, and I was shivering on the kitchen floor, and everybody told me, "Oh, you're just a wet brain, you know, you don't know what." No, I'm more now that I'm in my close to 77 years. I'm letting my freak. That's what happened to me. So anyway, I came back changed. I thought I was a walk-in until I met a psychic who told me no one walked out. And then see what happened. The reason I sometimes say I'm not a Reiki person, I love Reiki people. My life would be so easy. Well, it would have been different if I was a Reiki person, because when I had my channels open, they were already open. I remember it was like a 2-day course. I was living with the asthmatic Aries and my dog on Stanton Street. It was a beautiful little home, and 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 I took this course. It was on Gough Street at the Unitarian Church there, one of their auditorium, and it was like in 2 days I learned all about the human body, the spleen, and where do you put your hands and all this. And the woman said, we're going to temporarily open your chakras, and then in 2 days during the big ceremony, it'll be permanently. And that was just on my birthday. It just happened to be on my birthday, November 14th. And actually the same day, time rather. So what happened was there was just candlelit. It was a really beautiful ceremony. And then the woman who was the Reiki master, when she had a real experience, and she said, "You're different than the Reiki people." She said, "You've been doing this a long time before you met." She somehow managed to whisper this in my ear, and then and sure enough, when I tried to fit in with like the black swan, trying to fit in with the white swans, I was like, well, once again, I'm going to humble myself. Humility, yeah, those guys, no humility whatsoever. I didn't see one iota, and to me, it's something I've been striving every moment. I was taught that if you say the word humility, you don't have it. So I have, even when I tell people I live modestly or humbly, that's using the word humility. So I avoid, because I said your actions should say, people should say, well, Frank lives very humbly. I admire that. That would be a real compliment to me. So anyway, so I went. I remember this one time in Japantown, the Reiki people said there'll be 5 Reiki people there. Why don't you join them, Frank? So it was like 2 other guys and 3 women, and the room was filled, at least, 75 people, mostly women, white women. I thought they'd be all Asian, but no, they were mostly white women. And this one woman sat I had my hand 6 inches above her head, and I could feel the energy pouring out of me, and she screamed, and she jumped out of the chair, and she said, he's burning me. He's burning me. So the woman who was facilitating this looked at her head, and there was no burn on her head or anything, and I just left. I took it very personally, and then I realized all during high school, every now and then I'd be dancing with a girl in the gym, and she'd go, wow, your hands are hot. I just realized, well, this comes out of everybody, but it wasn't until after my near death or death and come back experience and then that Reiki thing where I realized no, and then then I threw myself into, it was still a lot of people dying from AIDS and a lot of people in comas, and this energy comes through me, and these guys were coming off of coming out of comas, so once again, it keeps me very humble, because I'm very aware I don't have some kind of it comes through me. I don't have some kind of a messiah complex, as whatever they call it. So as I said, the other day I heard Kathy Rose mention that she's a Reiki healer, and I said, and all of the people in her family she works on, and I went, oh, that's beautiful. I should warn people, if you work with me, your life's going to change. Maybe that's why people aren't breaking down my door for a session with me. People, many times when I was doing big fairs and everything, like say for instance, I was looking at Donald Trump's handwriting, and I saw, and I said, how could I have not talked about this? Because when I used to do more healings with big events. And while people were waiting in line to see me, I'd say, give them a piece of paper and have them give me a sample of their handwriting. And then when they sit down to me, they'd give me a sample of their handwriting, and I could tell in a glance so much about them. Change your handwriting, change your life. Like if it's too slanted to the past, to the left, you might want to, say, no, you want to go more towards the right, more towards the future, isn't that funny? More towards to more forward motion. And at the end, if there's an abrupt end, if there's a long, at the end, of swirl or something, you have a very healthy sex life, And then, I hate people say, And then, and in Donald Trump's case, the last one on his is that P, and then he backs and slits it right in half. Listen to this. You look at his handwriting, you go, this is not a well individual. You don't have to be years, you don't have to be someone who studied handwriting analysis for years and years and years. You could just look at that handwriting and go, this is not a well person. It says Donald Trump's handwriting analysis, clues about his personality. Well, I guess you want to call it that, including a strong drive for power and possible dishonesty. Gasp. Some characteristics as being suggestive of mental and emotional characteristics such as stabbing strokes. It's like Psycho. You want to hear like the Alfred Hitchcock movie Psycho, where what's his name? It's like, stabbing strokes in the letters. Every time I see him signing something, it's like, there's Alan Bates, the Bates Motel. He's turned the office into the Bates Motel in letters and self-destructive signature, because he turns that P at the end like that, and he slabs it in half. I'm really into it, as you can tell. President Trump's, so I was telling these young kids, young people in their 20s and kids to me, and a lot of events with this young people, and I tell people, now give me a sample of your handwriting, and I look down, and there's a paragraph of printed words, and their signature is not a signature, it's a printed. And I look at them and I say, wow, it's very important that you be understood. And because I did ask you to write, signature. I said, well, let's run off the bat now, cut to the chase, and give it up. Nobody's going to understand you. You're lucky if you end up understanding yourself. And that sort of ends that. And it wasn't just one or two. A majority of people, I would say, well, you're waiting online, give me a sample, I even go like that. And then they hand me a piece of printed words. People. Well, there was always events where there was wine going on, especially when people would sit down with me, and then right off the bat, they close their arms. I go, oh, this is going to be a hard session. So I always say, let's open up here now. Shake that energy about. A lot of healing people have stored energy in their fingers. So after like a rough phone call or a rough meeting, shake it off, and then close the circuits. Because Trump's writing is large and heavy, illegible, upright, filled with sharp angles. Large signature shows that he has very high opinion of himself, often feels superior to others who have wealth and power, and he desires to be even greater. He wants to dominate and impress others, so he shows off. He's an arrogant, boastful, and feelings of grandeur. No sign of humility right there. The extreme, heavy, thick, which suggests that he is independent, firm, obstinate, rigid, and very secretive. He exaggerates his own importance and loves being in the limelight. Very stubborn. Yeah. As for the large, blocky writing, someone who has a strong need for security and to be in control, to be looked up to. The way the letters disconnect point to someone who was unable to assimilate the difficulties he experienced as a child, which leaves him open to life's various adversities. He lacks good coping mechanisms. No shit, Sherlock. I mean, excuse my language here. He lacks good coping mechanisms and has trouble relating fully to himself and to others. Duh. As I said, your handwriting shows volumes. His famous spiky signature, there's a certain arrogance confirmed by his signature, which looks like a barbed wire wall, whose many sharp angles are hostile. At the end of the signature, the final stroke at the peak, quote unquote, turns and slashes through the signature, which became one of the main representatives of the self. It's self-destructive. Whew, baby, we have a self-destructive, and the list goes on and on and on. The library, back when he was running for president, and the library was full of, it's still referred to, 25 psychiatrists wrote this. I got it when it was fresh out of the press. So yeah, and it's not going to get any better. Well, don't want to scare you. It is going to get better. But as I said, that's why I wanted to give you these dates. Okay, write these down. So between right now, May 2nd, and this was with Venus at conjunct Neptune, exactly, I believe, what is that, 9 degrees today. Excuse me. Pardon-moi. You know, I was in Paris for April in Paris, was it 2019, and I would be waiting to cross the street, and people would come up to me and and I would listen to them, and I go, oh, no parlez-vous français. I said, I'm American. No! You know, because I just look like I fit in wherever I belong. Anyway, I've had past lives there. That's why I was never wanted to go there. When I had the chance to travel, I always wanted to go to Hawaii and then down to Central and South America. I never made it to South America, but I still love Central America. I hope to go back to Central America someday. Lake Atalan. Okay, let's get back to what's going on with Venus today. Yeah, so as I said, Venus is doing this. Here it is. Wait, we're talking April. No, May. Venus is doing this. 0 degrees, 1 degrees, 1 degree, 1 degree. They're both 1 degree Aries. So you really want to look where 1 degrees Aries Aries is on your chart. Now this is a copy of the United States of America's chart. And what's happening is Pisces, an intercepted constellation in our third house of self-expression. Our moon is in Aquarius. So right now, Neptune over the next, 15 years before it'll hit our moon. But it's just now still conjuncting by a few degrees, but it's in Aquarius, and it's not going to go back into Capricorn. So we've had Pluto's transit to our own Pluto, and now it's all about Pluto's conjunction to our south node. You know, it's getting that we're better than the shadow of Aquarius. It could be an intellectual snob. And maybe that's why this war on knowledge, they see knowledge as a severe a hideous birth deformity, as Frank Zappa said. And the North Node is in Leo. Once again, the heart. It's all about we're leaving fire and earth and water to fire and air. Creativity, Leo, fixed air, and air fixed Aquarius air. So, and also we cannot be bitter. In a 9-year, 2 shows ago, I don't have it with me, but I did everything you should be. It's humanitarian, universal 9-year. So why 2026 is going to be a universal 1 year? So let's get back to this. Between now, as I said, May 2nd, 2025 and July, Uranus is hitting the last few degrees of Taurus. On May 24th, Mercury, the planet of information, conjuncts Uranus, a 1-day hit, and that's May 24th. May 24th, 25 degrees Aries. 25 degrees Aries, and Uranus around the same 25, 27 degrees Taurus, and then on June, that's a 1-day hit, and it's expand your thinking. So you write that down. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Yeah, that's going to be interesting with all that air energy. Yeah, a Mercury. Can be stabilized in Taurus. I would get as close to someone today. Actually, I was talking to someone, and I mentioned about this Saturn Uranus conjunction, Saturn conjunction to Neptune, and I said, well, I think everybody's agreeing, get as close to nature as you can, So if you're dealing with a shut-in, buy them a plant, go in and water it for them. June 15th. Mars will square windows of opportunity Uranus. So it's Mars in Leo, Uranus in Taurus, sparkle. Good things, incredible change can happen. I wrote sparkle. Sparkle, what was that? Gypsy, Natalie Wood, Gypsy, where sparkle... what was her name? They did that routine in Broadville, and she goes, Sparkle. Yeah, the stage mother said Sparkle. I forget her name. Oh no, that's Neely O'Hara in Beyond Valley of the Dolls, or Valley of the Dolls. I get those two mixed up. Neely O'Hara, and you go Sparkle Neely, Barbiturates, Valley of the Dolls of the Pills. Oh, I love that. My favorite movie is Beyond Valley of the Dolls. Sharon Tate, the most beautiful woman that ever lived. God bless her soul. I don't know how I got that really mixed up with Gypsy. Anyway, now that's Sparkle Neely, and that's why she took the barbiturates. Yeah, sparkling all the time is hard, I imagine. I never tried it. Uranus, July 3rd, Venus conjuncts Uranus. Cardinal signs need to be seen, will be seen. Yeah, so that's Pisces, Capricorn, Cancer. Okay, so anyway, the USA now is in a 3-year. In 2026 will be a 3-year, and as I said, it's going to be the end. Oh yeah, and on the 12th. Oh yeah, the 12th of Uranus is stability and support. Be in the present moment and be calm. During World War II, Winston Churchill had that thing, be calm, stay calm and be here, or something like that. Yeah, being calm, in this world where advertisements are just out of control. Yeah, because with on the 12th, I believe, is the Scorpio full moon. The moon will be 22 degrees Scorpio, and the sun will be 22 degrees Taurus. Conjunct Uranus at 26 degrees Taurus. So there's this really expect the unexpected. Some kinds of breakthroughs. They're saying, the ALG Algol, it's an asteroid that's associated with beheadings. and they're saying heads are going to roll. Hopefully, the last time Al Gore did something, Donald Trump almost got his head blown off. Pam Gregory even mentioned that. She mentioned it like a few weeks before that event, and she just mentioned it again in her last from the UK's video where she said, "I hope there's no." It's symbolically like the head of big institutions, like they're trying to break up the 1% now. Let's hopefully, that seems the chances of snowball in hell, but we got high hopes. So I'll be back here right after that, and we'll have more time to talk about that. So it's all about, as I said, rarity is potentially. So just look at your birth chart, and as I said, for 0 degrees Aries, because for the United States of America now, this is all happening in our third house. See, our third house right here. Because 1 degree is our bottom here. It's the MC or something. It's our natal thing, where you're born and how you're raised. And then, as I said, it's going to be headed for our Chiron, 20 degrees in Aries, the wounded healer planet. And that's going to happen in the beginning of April, let's say February, March of 2026. Look at it this way, Frank. It's going to be March of 2026. Saturn and Uranus will hop over this line, and I say that exact conjunction will happen in February of 2026. That will be eventful. Until then, I believe, I'm not hearing this from anyone else. This is my own little 2 cents there. I believe we're dealing with Kundalini energy. The Ida and Pingala are the 2 snakes at the bottom of your spine. And then if they're activated, when they wake up, I think it's karmic, they go up your spine. It's like the AMA has that symbol of the snake going up the spine, representing the energy rising, knowledge. So let's get this out of the way. Alexei Navalny is what happens when regimes are like what's happening right now. I'm keeping some room here because I'm going to do the cards for you all. I know people like when I do the cards. And the word harm reduction. If you know anybody, talk to people, who are out of control. Isn't interesting because it's been proven when Nixon got the report back and he saw that cannabis was basically harmless. He didn't like that, He wanted cannabis to be, criminalized for hippies and heroin for blacks, because we were both be against the war, and Vietnam War I'm talking about, and that really took, because I've had friends of mine. It breaks my heart in a way. Well, I'm over it. Several people I've gotten really close to over decades, and when they got cancer, and I suggested, use some cannabis. No. They were actually upset that I would even mention it. This was one woman of color in particular, and of course she, died with her for her reality. I'm not, I was thinking the other day, and I'm glad it came up from mentioning it. I learned real early when I was learning what to do, what I'm doing here in the mystery school. Norma Tringali said to me, "Frank, you got to accept free will." Because it made no sense to me that, but then after she said that, it made sense. Then she said to me, "What's going to make you different from other psychics, Frank? You're going to help people change their destiny." And I have people, that's what I've been doing the last 40 something years. Because my destiny was changed. I think you can change your destiny now. You can jump off that wheel of Dharma. And I don't think Reiki people can get you ready for a session with me. And see, that sounds very condescending. I'm just going to change that whole. So anyway, psychedelic, thanks to London Breed, you can't even get cannabis away anymore. That it might keep, it might be just the one toke that gets their head on straight, or the kindness of, just what I say, reality is a crutch for people who can't handle cannabis. So as I said, come May 2025, actually June of 2025, Mars will be out of Leo. It's in Leo now, so all you Leo people feeling really energized, use Leo is the heart. Use that Leo energy to get Mars to really, once again, it's worth repeating. I know I said this a lot. When you're being conceived, right? And the first tangible material part of you is formed. That first cell is the heart. So, and then from there, everything else knows where to go. I actually wrote all about that. We'll get to it on our next session. And it's that space in between those spaces is where I get in. That's where the healing energy happens. And and it knows exactly the gender, your sexual preference, what food you're going to like, what color your hair is going to be, if you're going to be bald, if you're going to be, it knows everything about you. Many of us haven't even scratched our supercells yet. Oh, that's all going to be happening over the next couple of years. Once again, you cannot. Once you start opening up psychically, you shouldn't use psychedelics except for cannabis. And then we have like this guy, what's his name, Scott Wiener, who wants it to be recreational. You're doing psychic damage. Well, once again, you have to experience it. I had to. I was taught in the mystery school. I wasn't using psychedelics a lot, but I was open to, when the time's right. I was only in my 30s back then. And sure enough, a friend from New York in the publishing, he was part of the Warhol crowd. And he met me on Polk Street, and I gave me a little bit of restroom he had in his wallet, because he was going back to New York. And I took it, because I didn't want to get into it. And then I took it. Man, it was the worst trip of my life. I was all cut off from my guides. And I since then, cannabis is it for me. I don't drink. I don't do anything except cannabis. And I have to now because they found macrodegenerative disease something. And they said if I don't use cannabis, I'll go blind. So, and it's not on insurance. It's not on insurance. Okay, that's sort of, I let it stymie for a minute there. So Saturn enters Aries this month, and then April 2028 until then, and Uranus is, and Neptune is in Aries until 2039 with September, October, November backed up into... back up into 29 Pisces. Worry is praying for something you don't want. Earth is not I said this a lot, but it's worth repeating. Earth is not a platform for human life. It is a living being. We are not on it. We are part of it. Its health is our health. The earth is a living thing. Like right now, getting here, the wind. Oh man, I got into it. It's rolling away all the cobwebs. Oh yeah, as Harvey Milk saw it, the whole point of being gay was the challenge it presented. And then I wrote under that, to be one of the chosen ones, simply choose yourself. Like look in the mirror and give yourself big kisses and say, you the man. You're the woman, whatever your name is, the soul loves to hear its own name. Which, you the man, Frank, you the man. I go, you the bird, Gabby, you the bird. Okay. And then let's see. Neptune's warning now. Power without spirit is fear. Christopher Ransom said that. Ransom. The spark of deep in our subconscious lets the truth slip out. Focus your energy on what you want to draw in, not what you want to get away from. I want to draw into my human superpower potential. Let's get to the cards, y'all. Oh yeah, we have plenty of time. plenty of time. And they got me this little table here. Let me put this over here. Okay. I'm going to get into my non-local space and shuffle the cards. You know, I before 9/11, what was it? Yeah, before 9/11, I thought I was really making it. I was getting all this international business. Kathy Acker was still alive. Then Pluto hit my sun and everything changed, you know. But I had... I'm glad everything worked out the way it did. I'm glad that. So let me cut the cards here and see what I'm getting. So I would get calls from Paris. The French really love people like me. And then I'd say, well, I don't know how to do this. I know the calls back then, this was before all this technology, were really expensive to talk to me from. You had to like... well, I guess these people had the money. Okay, what are my audience now? Their heart chakras are open, in the sign of light and love. In the name of Christ, what does everybody need to know? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know how to do this any faster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You wonder why I do 7, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because my day and month vibrates to 7, reduced to 1 digit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's see what we got here for everybody. Victory. Ah, I love this. Beautiful. Okay, think back to your life, especially you guys, men and women that are more mature, to how many times you were like up against it, where there was no hope, and you knew you were going to get through this. You just told yourself, this is unacceptable, believe anywhere else. It could be your child, was on whatever, your pet, something you loved, something you really wasn't ready to be released, and somehow you got it, it was found, or so, you need to remember you are creative. You are a creative being of infinite power. Start owning that. Walk like a man. No tyrant's words crawling on the earth. So walk like a man, my son. No, I'm not gonna sing. I'm not gonna do my Frankie Valli. Okay, but think about it. You as young people, as I said, I don't know. As I said, there's so many people I don't understand this generation now that money's almost obsolete now. It's for several generations now. These people are grown up not even knowing that laundry takes quarters. I don't know. Life's a mystery to be lived, not a problem to be solved. But it just don't sound. I'm trying. I almost said try. Try's a non-active verb. Okay, so here's what we are now. Use your magic now. Before you go to sleep at night, say, I'm choosing to go into the mystical school of the night. And then pick one thing. Help me straighten this out. Blessed Mother, Queen of the Angels, whatever you want to do there. What's surrounding us now is be childlike. That kid of yours, you played seriously. They say you should live your life play with the seriousness of that child at play. Like so many times, women would come to me who are mothers early in life, and they would say, a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. They loved their kid and all that, and they weren't single mothers. They had, they weren't married, but they had, the guy who loved them, and And I say to her, several of these women, well, you knew you were going to be a mother when you were like 3 years old. You were sitting, your mother was having coffee with her girlfriend, and you were in the corner playing with your doll, your little baby doll, and your girlfriend said to your mother's girlfriend said to her, look at that kid of yours. She really thinks that doll is alive. And you looked at her and said, she is. She's very alive. You wait and see. And then they laugh. And she goes, yeah, I knew I was going to be a mother years. So as I said, every time I see a little girl with her mother wheeling a carriage, I go, oh, get her. You want to be a grandmother that bad, I don't know. But as I said, before you're 3 years old, your child's telling the entire world, this is what I'm going to be when I'm an adult. So, watch what your child's doing in those first precious 3 years, especially while that crown chakra is still not totally closed. The angels are right there. The ego is still, it's such a beautiful space. I always see these babies in carriages, and I see the angels around them. Okay, the foundation now is when death will pick you up, spin us around, and drop us deeper in our own life. Oh, there's no missed opportunities. We're going to have at least a year. Pat Gregory says 2027 before we really arrive. But I believe what's going to go on is a big shift next March, when Saturn and for America, when Saturn and Neptune hop over that line and go from our third house to our fourth house for the long haul there. So in the meanwhile, the ship's there coming in. I see there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it ain't a train. Where we're coming from is we've been waiting. We've been waiting, while all these planets have been going, Pluto's going to go retrograde soon, so it's time to rethink. I made some notes about it, but it's really in 2 words: rethink. Reevaluate the things that have been happening this last few months of the year. These first 100 days of this regime from hell. There's no other way to put it. It's all my buddies who didn't make it home from Nam. I was gonna go. I figured they'd give me a desk job because I was so skinny. I was like a 90-pound Woody Allen weakling back then. I got all these kid parts my agent used to send me on. I got typed, but I figured, I didn't even think about moving to Canada or something. I just figured, I had a little bag near the door, a little suitcase, a little overnight bag with my stuff in it, and it was a sublet on the Lower East Side of New York, 11th and 2nd Avenue. I figured if I every day opened the mailbox, if there was a letter, I was going to Nam. But after 4 years, I got a letter saying I wasn't going. Well, don't hate me for that. Saying, wow, you were lucky. I know I was. But it was no picnic in New York. It was filthy. New Jersey rivers were on fire. It's time now to get that love going. You get that love. The universe is love. Infinite love. So much love that our human bodies can't. So much is incomprehensible. And yet we won't accept it. We're so egos, lacking humility. We know everything. We don't, and then the universe has to slap us down and make us teachable, metaphorically or real life. So you just wake up being teachable and remember it's all love. Don't match that hate. Hate contracts, love expands. Let that love expand. Let your heart rule. The biggest electromagnetic energy is our heart. Let it draw to you to everything you never dreamed. That get rid of. If you want to make God laugh, tell her your plans. Just pray, I will to will you, Jah will for me, and then boom, 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 doors appear where they want no doors. Get into nature. Start hugging trees. Don't kill a fly. Get a little cup, like I say, and get like a postcard, and then put it like that, and then walk and let it out, let it fly away. There's give that little fly going, thanks, Frank. I owe you one. You know, I just had a dream last night. Some animal was happy. I forget what it was, but it wasn't that important. But I think that veil, I tell you, this Neptune and Aries. See, Aries is at the head now, and it's time to start really using our head now and start punishing people for making healthy choices. You know, people realize when they quit drinking. Man, there's no, but now you could have mocktails. You can charge the same amount of money for a liquor drink than a mocktail, you know, depending on the ambiance there. Just get some, well, there's a whole lot can go on, you know. Industries have to go down. The wine industry is going down rapidly. Okay, so living life to the nines now. Yeah, this is a universal 9-year, and we're doing everything. See, astrology and numerology go together like a hand in glove. You know, you're on the right path. So, not only is this for the whole universe a 9-year, but for the United States of America, it's a year of revelations. Emotion is the chief source of enlightenment. Without those emotions, you can't have any kind of change. People want change, but they don't want to change. How many light bulbs does it? How many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? Only one. But the light bulbs really, 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 really gotta want to change. Here we are now. You know, let's realize the light's inside of us. We all have this light in our heart. Let's activate our hearts now, and let's not match that hate energy on Facebook. I don't do Facebook, God forbid. Yeah, what's with Zuckerberg? And as I said, how many people put it together that friend and unfriend, and that's not divisiveness, that's not the size. How could any good come from? It could be you don't unfriend people, but question your choices, you know, or, you know, but that's cold. It's like, my way or the highway, man. Cross that line, you're unfriended. You know, I never liked that. I said I worked on friendships for years, you know, with friends I went to high school with, you know, and then all of a sudden it was like, I have to unfriend you, man. And it became this whole matter of, because I was getting death threats, you know, no kidding. You know, people were, I don't know. I guess, see, that's what's happening now. Assumptions are being shattered collectively and personally, individually and collectively. So much of my assumptions I'm realizing are, you know, I was assuming that a majority of people, no matter what, realize, you know, for hundreds of 200 something 150 years, the people have died to make this fragile. Benjamin Franklin said, if we could keep it, this republic, if we can keep it, because he knew how fragile it would take, and how we could either, Thomas Jefferson said, we're going to have democracy or a country ruled by a handful of mad women, rich people. Okay, the wind's going our way now. Enjoy the process. Let's not be such in a hurry to get this over, because then the universe has to choreograph something. We realize, okay, I'm open. Let's see what our collective subconscious has to say. Get that joy going on now. I've had a lot of money, I've had no money, but I've never been poor. Poor is a state of mind now. What did Donald Trump say? Instead of $30, you buy $2. What's with the number 2? Donnie's 2 scoops. Remember, he looked at the camera in his first administration and said, oh yeah, when I go to dinner now, they give me 2 scoops of ice cream. You know, Donald, you know, yeah, it's a shame, but you know, if we didn't have him, we'd have to invent him. The fact is now, as I said, nothing goes away. Okay, as I fill you up with the light and love of the Holy Spirit, let me see if there's anything else. I'll do 6 cards for you all. Anything else? 6 cards now for my friends. Okay, because I upload these shows to my what am I saying Facebook for? Yeah, let's get Zuckerberg now to change that. You know, how could thousands of people be sucked into this whole thing about, you know, unfriend? How could you unfriend? You know, friends that, you know, the world's just friends you haven't met yet. My dog taught me that, rest her soul. And nobody doesn't survive their death. You know, every time I see the Stephen Miller, that's a Nazi. That's a reincarnated Nazi, and that's no political anything. Am I the only psychic now who sees that? No, I'm the only one, I guess, who's not who lives in Oz. Yeah, we got a lousy mayor, but okay. Collectively now, the universe is standing on its head to get our attention. What the hell you want him to do, man? Pay attention. Keep up. Yeah, all major arcanas now. There's 22 major arcanas. It means it's timely. It's not about the vehicle. It's about the driver. You. When people say, I'm living on a fixed income. Well, who fixed it? You know, get back to the drawing board. Here's what we fear now: a war, fighting, strife. No, don't match that energy. I dispute. I rebuke the whole idea of violence. Put a flower, drink lilacs. This is what's going on for us now. We're being given a second chance. We're going to get through this, but we wouldn't have to worry. We're going to have to get ourselves out there now. Okay, yeah, this is what it is now. Nothing even remotely resembles what it used to be like. So it was like 2022 when it was the first Saturn something Neptune conjunction. Well, they were doing a square then or whatever. Well, now, as I said, it's all about their but the sextile on either side of that with Uranus, the Liberator, wants your true self to come out. Your true you is better than yours. Like, I love this me. I was walking here. I was thinking about where I've been to get here, you know. Money. Gifts are coming in now. I am open and receptive to money's the vehicle. What did Louise used to say? Louise Hay, money is the easiest thing in the world to manifest. Does that statement anger you? Great, now we have a place to start. Well, this has been fun. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Pay attention to your dreams. Instant connection to source. Oh yeah, this is real important. The infinite ground of being is always there for us. Okay, I'm out of here. Thank you. Oh yeah, if you're watching this, my Psychic Frank's Mystery Schools, my YouTube channel, psychicfrank11@gmail.com is if you want to get a hold of me. If you want to send me a question, what name you want to use, your birthday, and I could open my ephemeris and tell you some stuff, or pick a card for you. Okay, thank you. Bye. I think here we go.